few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome 3 people who are watching the show tonight to the Daily Gun Show. We go live every weeknight at midnight Eastern and talk about guns for an hour. Sometimes we have people join us, and there are links out on the gun channel side, but sometimes there's not, so it'll be a short show. And let's see, today CCW on a fixed budget by Glock 19 and 1,000 or so rounds of ammunition, by at least 10 magazines, by 1 inside the waistband holster, and go to get a range pass near your local range and shoot the 1,000 rounds through it, and then buy another 1,000 rounds and load up those mags, and you're good to go. There's your CCW on a budget. How many mags do you carry? So 1 normally, and then 2 if it's something going down that you want to carry more mags for. Throwing my toenails up. Can't sleep. I don't know what that means. So thanks for stopping by, I guess. So YouTube hates guns. They've been efforting towards making it uncomfortable and unlucrative to post stuff on YouTube. They'll continue to strike videos that we have private that are years old. They have no interest in seeing the gun community thrive on YouTube, and they only tolerate it because they probably make some money on it. And they don't want the black eye probably of just plain kicking us off. So 5 years ago, we built a community called gunchannels.com, and it's a platform for anybody who wants to hang out and be civil and talk about guns. And for 5 years, we've had many thousands of people join. Hundreds of those people participated financially to keep it ad-free and sponsor-free. It's just run by the community itself. We don't have any membership drives or bug people about anything really. So it's been a great community. People that are creating content on photographs on Instagram have been very successful in hanging out and having collaborative projects on gun channels. We'd like to see more bloggers. Podcasting is definitely a big part of gun channels, and then of course videos. And luckily we're working with the new platforms such as Gunstreamer and guntube.org, people that are hosting videos that aren't hostile to 2A content. And we appreciate the people that are watching it over on the gun channel side. Yeah, so it's live now, and we'll keep going. So that was, how many mags do you carry? 2, 1, depending. Let's see, I went a little nuts when I got mags for my SDVE. 10 for the 9 and 11 for the 40. That's not nuts, that's normal. Buy magazines when you go to gun shows or when you're at gun shops that need a little extra money. They make sometimes 40% on their mags, depending on if they can get them at a deal or if they're buying, you know, used mags technically, but are never used, kind of used mags. You know, the shop might be making even more than 40%. And it's the kind of thing that I consider dollar cost averaging. You're going to buy mags over the length of the time you own a gun. So sometimes you're going to pay more, sometimes you're going to pay less, but magazines are perishable parts of a firearm, like a spring or like the case on a projectile, on a cartridge. So they are designed to wear out, and if you insist on using a perishable item forever, you're increasing the likelihood of malfunction of the machine. So don't get tied to your magazines. Own so many of them you can't keep track. Keep some kind of numbering system on them. If you're really crazy or you're interested because you're doing competition or something, have like a spiral notebook where you keep track of the magazines. Have components like followers and springs and base plates that you can replace. when they become damaged, but also don't get so attached to your magazines that you need to keep them forever. It's ridiculous. So consider them perishable item and own many. So 10's a good start. You want at least 10 just for, something bad happens, you're going to need at least 10 per gun. 5,000 rounds, change mag springs. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff where people keep track of their mags, keep track of some concept of round count. It's not that difficult to, you figure you went to a match and you shot 200 rounds and you brought these 3 magazines. For this kind of work, you can just do a, divide by 3 type of thing. But some people get really accurate, and those are usually the people that perform better because they've done the preventive maintenance on their machines to keep that less of a factor in their competitions and stuff. Let's see, Bruce is over there. I'll throw him a link. If anybody else wants a link, let me know. But otherwise, I'll probably end this pretty quick. I was thinking I'd go over to Instagram here and look at some of these pictures. This isn't necessarily the hashtag showdown or anything. We're just going to look at some of the stuff I've been posting from some of the shops and things. So the last post was from range 702. That one didn't do very good. I don't know if people don't like that picture or if they're just not interested in range 702. They're definitely downsized from their original place. Everybody's getting their SHOT Show media credentials. The emails go out usually mid-October through something in November, and then there's some point, I think the beginning of December, there's like a cutoff. So if you are interested in attending SHOT Show as a member of the media, there's advantages. You get to take pictures, and you get a media credential that's recognized nationally, and it's free. So it normally would cost a couple of bucks to go to SHOT Show. You get in for free, and you have all access. So to make sure that's clear. Unfortunately, that was unclear for Ghost last year, and that's a shame. But you have access to everything. I mean, minus private room here and there. Oops. If there's like a meeting going on or something, that's about the only thing that would be invite only. But the entire show is available to media. Anyway, so that's I guess 93 days away. It's coming up. This is a really cool gun shop up in Phoenix, basically. It's kind of outskirts of Phoenix. The Gun Freedom Radio podcast hosts own a shop and an auction house, and they have an incredible shop. It is really cool. You get an idea here. There's just stuff everywhere and no wasted space. Every square foot of that area there is full of guns. It's really cool and lots of neat stuff. The pictures don't even do it justice. This was a big Foot Locker thing I got for 10 bucks, actually $9. So helping to organize the van. What's this all about? This is when YouTube went down because YouTube sucks and their shit's rusty and clunky, and plus they hate guns. So some surplus store I found. Surplus store in name only. They had a couple of things. This is about the majority of their surplus. It was mostly uniforms and Carhartt and stuff like that. But the guy was cool. He's kind of a character. And a bunch of kids came in while I was there to get costumes and Halloween stuff. So you need these kind of stores for that. And I thought he had some awesome displays. I mean, how often do you get a cool display of hats like that? Yeah, and I don't really know if I got a good picture of the boots, but a good quarter of this huge building is boots. So nothing wrong with these stores. They just, they're not necessarily surplus stores. Call it more like a uniform store or something. This is one of the rental places in Vegas, and real fond of this place. They're pretty cool, and got to experience some of the things that only the Vegas stores would have to worry about. And we'll talk about that. I don't know if we've talked about that in a podcast or not, but I'll talk about that at some point. This was a gun shop in Fargo, and kind of a neat shop tucked away in a weird kind of sleepy strip center. And just this is the front door of the place. They had like a little rack of coats in their double door here, big giant like shade thing, but just that little door. And I didn't know what to expect, and I went in there, and it's a massive, massive gun shop. Lots and lots of guns. Pretty cool guys. They were kind of chatting with each other while I was snooping around, so I got to hear a little bit of their shop talk. And then a customer came in based off of ad they had just placed. So yeah, neat place. And again, little place in Fargo, and pretty decent assortment of stuff. I've never seen well, I have seen, I guess, a couple, but very few of these Silencer Co. black powder cans, which are non-NFA suppressed black powder guns, and but never out on the floor where you can pick it up and see what it's like and what, feel what it weighs. That's $1,000 setup right there. This is Dano, one of the people that's out there watching but not joining, even though he has a link. Bunch of other people. So if there's people out there that want to do a better job at a Gun Channels comic, you're definitely invited to participate. Trying to prime the pump here with doing some cartoons and stuff, playing around with caricatures of Gun Channels people, so that we can eventually get to where we've got some creative people in here that are posting cool stuff. Posted a thank you to the people who support what we're doing, except for the people that didn't join tonight. Not thanking them. What is this? This was another video I tried editing in the van, and it didn't save. It pisses you off. You get everything done, you get it all edited and figured out, and then it won't save. So this was a place called Shipton's, Big R, in Montana, Billings, Montana. I think that's the capital of Montana. And they have a couple of gun shops there, but just a few. And then a lot of pawn shops. And then this place, which is, I don't know if I got enough pictures of the front of the shop. This is looks like a big gun shop, because it is, but it's a small portion of a really big, I guess, ranch store. It's more than a tack shop, and it's more than a hardware store. I call it a ranch store, I guess. So fencing and card hearts and food and canning and pickling and that kind of thing. Hardware, and then that big gun section. So kind of a everything shop. Really cool place. And I guess there's a bunch of them. So cool people. And I got to listen to, again, some of their interactions with customers and stuff. It's always interesting when you listen to the kind of questions that come up in the different parts of the country. And massive selection. Billings, Montana. This one is in Wisconsin, a little place. I think I was sleeping in a Walmart parking lot, and I woke up and typed gun shop into the map, and this was like across the street, just coincidentally. So I didn't know about it. It was a target opportunity. I was leaving the parking lot, and I was literally in the parking lot of this one. And little shop, but it was full of cops. It had to be 3 different cop cars out front that were marked, and then everybody in there looked like a cop. So probably ex-law enforcement guy got an FFL and treats him right, and cool little shop. So turns out the guy who owns it, I was chatting with him a little bit. His sister owns one of the shops in Phoenix, Shooter's World, which is a really cool range. He either said his sister or sister-in-law, but I think he said his sister. So how cool is that a brother and sister each own a gun shop, one in Wisconsin and one in Phoenix. Then here's the Buffalo Bill Museum. Total disappointment. This is a picture of the museum, and the part that was guns was like this, not even this little brown part, this little part in front. Like the hallway into the building is all they had guns in. And this is about as much as you saw. Those guns, that little display, this, and then you can see some on the wall, like here and over here. And that was it. Like 100 guns. I mean, I've seen gun shops with many more than that out. Anyhow, this is total disappointment. Don't go there until they're done with the remodel. This was a rock that I found out, took pictures of, that I've talked about before. I found this horse one time when I was living up here, and I was actually not too far from here. I found this horse one night. I'm driving up to my place. There was this horse standing here. So I left the vehicle there, walked back over here, see what's up with this horse, and he was still standing there. So I said, all right, I'm going to take this horse back to my place. I had a corral there. And plus, in Wyoming, if you find a horse, you can keep it as long as somebody else doesn't own it, right? So I thought maybe I'm getting a free horse right now. So I'm walking this horse back, and there's this big rock right here, and I didn't think nothing of it until I got like here, and then I figured out there was a big mountain lion up there. So mountain lion looked like this kind of coloring and about that size, but he was sitting like this, just looking at us. And I don't know if he had his mouth open, but it was dark, but it was definitely creepy walking past a giant mountain lion basically on top of this rock. And you get an idea. He's definitely within distance. He could have like probably had to jump down, but then he was still up in the air a little bit from where we were. So I was shitting myself hoping that he was going to eat that horse before he ate me. But I don't have any idea when a mountain lion has that chance. Do they take the dumb horse who can run away, or the dumb person who can't? Right? Smaller meal, but probably, well, I would have beat the shit out of that cat, but it would have been a tough fight. And I wouldn't have wanted to beat up a cat. Anyway, so then this is a Bigfoot at a place in Wyoming that I was curious what Yankee would think. But I think it was made out of like fiberglass, maybe. I mean, it was big and everything, but I didn't get the impression it was like wood or carved out of wood or anything. This is a neat little place in Fargo also that does engraved guns. So they buy guns off of like Henry or somebody, and then they take it to a place and have them gold plated, and then they engrave it, whatever commemorative thing, anniversary. A lot of teams, I guess, when you're in sports, you give guns to people when they win sports games. I didn't know about that, but it's just some place that does a lot of logo stuff. They had like a real big display or showroom of all this kind of stuff, pens and swag and nice stuff too. Like, you know, just stuff that if you were going to give an executive a, you know, some kind of a office setup, you know, have it all embossed and whatever with your names on it. So it was a pretty neat kind of place. And then half of the display or half of that room was these fancy guns, and they're an FFL, so they get the guns. They're good to go. They're real guns, and kind of neat to talk to them about that process and whatnot. This was in Orem, Utah, or just outside of Orem, where the Browning factory is. Is it Orem, or is it whatever the town in Utah is? It might not be Orem. It might be something else with an O. Anyway, this was right south of the museum. We were checking out the map, and it had a place called Penguin Tactical. So we checked that out. Dead Horse was with me, and he said that that was a company that supports YouTube. So we checked it out, and they had this old guy had taken an old Model 12, I think, and had it Cerakoted in like this pattern. So he's got the Texas flag on it. He's got that kind of dudes walking in Nam kind of look in silhouette. It's pretty cool. And he was super stoked. He used old guy, you can tell, Nam vet, and Bronze Star. And he had this gun, and then he had an AR. And he's like, let me show you my AR. And he just whips out his phone and starts digging through the pictures and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. Wish I would have got a video of that, because he was just, you know, right on there. He was fairly fluent with his tech, and old guy like that puts some of these guys to shame that get, you know, oh, I can't figure out how to work my phone or my computer. Anyway, this place does Cerakoting and modifications, it sounds like. So you bring in your Glock, you can get it engraved and painted and upgraded, and I guess they support YouTube, so that's kind of cool. They also have this place called Kickback Coatings. So we were in there for a bit chatting, and cool dudes. You can see Dead Horse's shoulder here. Oh yeah, this is awesome. This is a surplus store in Billings, which is, wow. Like, there's no way. I have so many pictures of this place. I went in there and asked them if I could take pictures. They said sure. And I got a ton of pictures. There's just stuff everywhere. Some of this cool stuff. I've never even seen military handgun racks, and they had 4 of them sitting there. $100 for the bad ones. All kinds of neat stuff. Got some stuff for the Patreons over there, and ended up chatting with them for a bit. I ended up visiting the store twice while I was there, so it was that cool. Really good bunch of people too. I chatted with them for a while. They own a surplus store, but they dig surplus stores, so that they really appreciated having somebody that was into their surplus stores to talk to them. All right, well, this is what happens when there's nobody here. I got to take a break. All right, there's links out, so nobody's joining. I guess here's Pink. Let me get him a link. But here's all the people that didn't join. Dano, Ellis, Gizzard, Posh, Pink, because he hasn't technically joined yet, Snob, Ghost, Clover. So unlike some of these chats who will call out all the people that are watching, I'm going to start calling out people that didn't join. I'm going to be like that kind of guy. Here's people that thought there was something more important to do than be on the show. All right, now Pink comes off that list because he joined. Nope, but he's muted, so he's going back on the list in pencil because he's not really saying anything.
Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Okay.
Okay.
All right, now I'm erasing the pencil. You're back off the list. All right, so now this one is called Beaver Sport and Pond, another awesome shop. So I took video of some of these when they needed it, and this one needs it. So there's just a ton of guns, which is, you get discouraged sometimes going to little shops, but there are some little shops with tons of guns, and this is one of them. And both handguns and rifles and all kinds of stuff. But I knew I was in for something. I come into the place, and first off, it was awesome because of this revolver sticking out the building.
I was getting ready to mention about that.
That's just awesome. And it's in an old hotel, so I didn't even pay attention to that really because I didn't think it was going to be the entire hotel. I figured, I'm walking into one little door down here. It's going to be 1,000 square feet or something. And I walk in the door and like down a hallway, and I'm thinking, yeah, it's 1,000 square feet. This is the right side of me, or this is the left side of me. And that other picture was the right side, basically. This is the right side as you walk in, and that's the left side. So, yeah, they got a bunch of guns, and the counter is way down at the other end. That's kind of odd, but whatever. Sometimes they do that. And then,
those are interesting racks.
Yeah, there's a lot of guns in there. Plus, there's stuff everywhere, and you'll even see some things in here that I bought for Patreons, because it was really good prices on stuff, actually. So
those are all homemade too. Yeah.
I walk all the way to the end, and then I figure out that you turn around a U-turn and you go all the way back the other way, and it's the same thing, right? So I'm like, oh, this is a big shop. So I said, can I take some pictures? He's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So then I'm walking down, and there's all these handguns and stuff, and then I see this sign, this map that takes you through the whole upstairs and the rest of the downstairs. So yeah, figures out it's the entire hotel. So imagine an entire hotel that's just basically guns, outfitter, surplus, a little bit of pawn shop kind of stuff, and then fishing and hunting and like gun safes and reloading and cleaning. An awesome shop. So a bunch of surplus and like decent surplus, not just like a bunch of our surplus, but like international uniforms and kit and just neat stuff, and all over the place and in piles. Some of it was neat. So just a little bit for everybody. And neat stuff I hadn't even seen before. These are mess kits with like a canteen inside. Crazy like European thing. Good prices. Very rarely do you see these little kid books, the little Jake books from 2009. I think these first came out. And again, I really like how they keep the old thing going. It's called Beaver Sport and Pawn, so you wouldn't even know it's a gun shop, but boom, there's a revolver. Now you know it's a gun shop.
Yeah, because I was going to mention the signs like that because, like in the town over here, any sign like that that's out in front of a business or anything, it can stay up as long as you don't take it down. But as soon as you take it down, you're not allowed to put it back up.
Right, and like a grandfathered thing. So yeah, that's
Right.
he keeps it going or whatever. I don't know in this town if they do that, but I know exactly what you're talking about. In fact, I've heard of places where it's the whole shop itself. If the shop goes out of business for like a week or something, boom, they can't start again.
Yeah, because I know there's signs over in like where Pumpkin is going on right now. They can repair it and they can do all the repairs to it that they need to, but if they end up taking the sign down, they can't put another one back up.
I mean, they can take it down and paint it and put it back up, right? I mean, it's not like physically.
They could take the sign off of the pole and repair this, like if it's a lighted sign or something like that.
Maintenance.
But yeah, if they do something with that pole, that sign's gone.
Huh. All right, so I seen these at a what do you call it, truck stop, and I was super tired, so I was just looking for something to do. It was like 3 a.m, so took that. And then you're talking about these shotgun shells. I honestly don't remember. I think those might have just been lights, or I mean not lights, knives, but I don't remember because I thought you were talking about this. Barely.
Yeah, I was talking about the green ones.
Yeah, you can barely see the trigger guard. I took a little video, or I tried to. This is a shotgun, and you pump the shotgun, and it's a pen, like a pen's out the barrel. And I thought that was cool. The problem is you pump the shotgun the wrong way, so it's like annoying. And these things were just goofy as shit, so I just took a picture to show it. I like
those green shotgun shell flashlights. Those are like the ones I sent Mr. Knives.
Oh, okay. So they're just basically you push the primer or something, and there's a light on this end.
Yeah, it's got like 9 LEDs on it.
That'd be cool. Yeah, I didn't even notice those. I guess I don't know. For some reason, I thought they were knives because I've seen those little pocket knives like that.
Yeah.
This is Dead Horse's little puppy. He puts a little dress on it, and this is his little sleeping bag. So he lives in by his niece when he's on the chats. They made Mello these little purses. Actually, that's for some other dog, but they fit well. This is them running around. I gave her a whooping after this because she's running around too much. She wasn't graceful enough.
Well, she minds you so much, and sleeping in the van, that she has to get out and get a little exercise.
And then this is that little dog standing up and giving her a kiss. That's a heater. And this is the museum. That's one of the factories. That's that one gun shop. And then that's his house.
Nice. Dude,
there's people living in this house now. So you can just go rent a room in Browning's house. And if like you walked up to here like I did, there's this little sign that says like this is Browning's house. And then these people just live in it. This here, that little thing in the window right there, is one of them like little cat gymnasiums made out of carpet. So you walk up to Browning's house to experience what it's like to be in the house that Browning was in, and then there's like a cat up here playing with a little fuzzball on a spring or whatever. And then the factory's across the street, and it's also an apartment. So you could live in his first factory, live in there, or you could live in Browning's house, or both if you rented a room in each building. This was also in Fargo. This is that giant big box store chain that's, I guess, up north called Shields. So I never heard of it before, but I guess it's around. And it's kind of like a Cabela's, but bigger, really. I mean, the building, yeah, it's about the size of a Bass Pro or a Cabela's, I guess. Just because there's no like mountains or waterfalls or anything in it, it just seems a little different. But I'd say it's about the same size. But the gun department, I don't know. I don't go into Cabela's and Bass Pros anymore. I haven't probably been in one in a couple of years, actually. Should probably go check one out just to do that. But from what I remember, they had a lot of a few things. Like they'd have a lot of powder and they'd have it all out on shelves. So it seemed like they had aisles and aisles and aisles of stuff. Then you go over there and like a good chunk of a shelf was like the same product over and over, at least from what I remember at a Bass Pro. And like their guns, like, yeah, they got a giant area for guns, but they might have like 3 Ruger 1022s that were just exactly the same, like the same item in inventory, just 3 of them out on the rack. Right. So, you know, there wasn't a heck of a lot of variety. It was just like everything that's, you know, the top seller in its area. So some CCW ammo, some hunting ammo, some target ammo, but not like a lot of all of that, just the top sellers. So this place was more a little bit of everything. So the same amount of square feet, but if they had 3 1022s out, it was 3 different flavors of 1022.
Right. They went for quality instead of quantity, and the other ones go for quantity instead of quality.
Yeah, definitely they paid more. It seemed like they were paying more attention to making a decent gun department, using as much square feet as necessary instead of just, we have this many square feet, fill it with stuff that's going to sell, using some equation or whatever. So anyway, this is a neat place, but at the same time, it's a huge box store. So a bunch of clothes and running stuff. We were talking about this, I think, yesterday, that there's these shells in different states, and the one in Minnesota, if you drive all the way to Minnesota from this one. So I was at this one. Well, actually, I was at the one in Minnesota first. I drove all the way over to this one just to see the gun section, because the one in Minnesota is just all like running bras and running shoes and running underwear and stuff. So, yeah. And they're like a mile apart from each other. And this one still has all that running stuff and everything in it. So people in Fargo and Minnesota must run around a lot. What's going on here?
You don't see too many gun shops with Ferris wheels on them either.
No, and that was kind of neat. So I guess this is just another one. The other one, when I was hanging out with Dead Horse, this is just the pictures of the Browning Museum and the factory. So this, what is this? This is the one factory.
Yeah, okay.
And this is just a better picture with the dog in the window. And this is me looking at it. Then this is the second factory, and there's this. So this is actually the third factory. This one is his second factory. So he invented guns, and he does the first factory, and then he invented machine guns, and then he moves to this factory. So this is the upgrade after he is the machine gun. He goes to this one, and the third one is after he invents 11 or whatever. So that's the, and then the little thing out front that says how it's manufacturing facility at this location in 1880, and it's this giant building. So much bigger situation. Dead Horse said that this little section in back, see up this, in like the penthouse. See that part? Anyway, it's supposed to be his. That's his workshop.
Okay.
This
Can
is
you
his
hear me?
house. Yeah, now I can hear you.
I don't know if it's me or if it's you, Robot.
Oh, really? Well, let's find out.
That's why I'm typing in the chat.
Oh, look, we got the inventor of guntube.org jumping in. So you're welcome, everyone. Let's see. Oh, I'm roboting? All right, I'm going to refresh.
While we're waiting on him to get back, there it is.
All right.
And there's Night Track.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
All right. So I was saying this penthouse here is Browning's workshop. Dead Horse said this is the elevator shaft.
Oh,
All right.
nice.
So that's his house.
Building elevator.
What?
It's like an outside the building elevator.
Yeah, like a cargo elevator, I guess. I guess back in the day it was different, and now it's all shrouded. But you know, in 1880 or whatever it was, 1880, it was probably maybe a wooden thing or something on the side. I don't know. Now it's a hotel, so you could go stay in his factory as a guest. This is his house. I think if you look at pictures of his house that are like drawings, this is like a porch, and now it's all closed in, but otherwise it's his house. And then like the van's pointed to the west right here. If you went to the west, this is what you would see. So now the van's pointed to the east, and this is his first factory. So it's basically across the street from his house. And this is, again, it's an apartments now. So some dude lives in his showroom right here. And then some other dude lives up here, I guess. So yeah, people just live in the John Browning factory. I mean, yeah, factory. This was his factory. So then that's in Ogden. So is that what I said before? I said Orem. So yeah, I was in Ogden, not Orem. Galaxin's was this gun shop's been around since like 1910 or something. Pretty cool place, and it's kind of neat. You see these like murals on the outside?
Yeah.
Kind of get a taste of what they look like. Like this one is a little, let me just say, a black lab, and there's like a shotgun. So it's kind of got like a hunting theme to it. This one is not finished yet, but it'll have like a theme to some suppressor company, I think he said. So they're murals, they're art, and he has local artists do them, but they're based on some sort of product that they're selling in the store. So this was like for Remington or something, and this is going to be for some silencer company. There's other ones around the place that he does them just like billboards or something. This will be here for 6 months. This one will be here for 3 months. So it rotates every so often so that his building looks cool and, you know, fresh and interesting. And they're also murals that are gun themed. I just think that's super cool. I've never seen anything like that with the gun shop. Once you go inside, again, this gun shop's been here since 1910. So you can't even imagine the cool stuff they've got laying around. And huge, it's massive. It's not really a maze. I mean, there's lots of twists and turns, and there's different rooms and stuff, which makes it fun, but it's not so complicated that you get lost or anything. And it's just massive. I mean, look at the kind of ammo they have. I mean, this is Salt Lake City, so more than all that, but I mean, that's some ammo. I don't go to, I've been to a few shops before, and very few of them have this kind of ammo sitting around.
Especially sitting on pallets.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
you don't buy your ammo in pallets?
They usually just get box trucks. That's right.
Right.
even these cases, though.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was neat. This is some of the reloading section and whatnot. Dead Horse says it's one of the better, or it's the best place to buy reloading stuff, the cheapest place in town. I didn't really get a good picture of it.
A lot of variety.
Yeah, they got a lot of stuff at discount, which is always fun to dig around through. They gave me one of these hats to give to a Patreon, so if somebody likes that hat a lot, let me know. And yeah, pretty cool place.
Now, when they change the murals and stuff, do they scrape that off or paint over it?
I think they just paint over it, but I don't know.
I was going to say, after a couple years, that paint would be like 4 inches thick.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they sand it off once in a while, or maybe just, I don't know. This is from a post I did the other day about the Scouts, and I didn't want people to think that a lot of people want to just give up on everything. Oh, there was something farted, I'm gonna give up on it. You know, like something might stink, but it ain't dead. So this was a post I made bitching because I'm sick of watching their feed. Their Instagram feed is constantly trying to push this agenda that girls are Scouts. So they were following some like obnoxious 16-year-old girl go around mountain climbing or something for like a week, and I couldn't handle it anymore because it's the Boy Scouts freaking feed. So I posted this saying, I even said in here, I respect the organization, I respect our history, but what they're doing lately is pathetic. And I say right here, I will continue to support the potential of the organization, but if blah blah blah, then I will, right? So nobody saw the but ifs and thens, so I just posted this to reiterate, not leaving scouts. I'm getting sick of their shit, and I'm hoping that the kids. That's what it's all about. Hopefully, the kids will take back the scouts.
Yeah.
This was the horrible weather we had in Salt Lake City. I had to deal with. I lived though. I survived. I'm a survivor.
Yeah, that's a little too cold for you, isn't it?
It's way too cold. You kidding? A little. 39 degrees. Do you see that part? I took this screenshot when it was only 43, but it was gonna be 39. Fuck that.
But,
So
you got that dog. That dog's got a very thick fur coat. You can just,
No.
huddle with the dog.
No, here's the thing. That dog doesn't give a shit about me at night. Like, he does not like to be manhandled and grabbed on, so she won't go, and she hates blankets, so she'll just like sit there warmly watching me freeze to death. She don't care. No, I tried yanking her underneath the blanket a couple of times, and as soon as I like fall asleep a little bit, she's out of there. As soon as she can sleep, she's gone. So no, she doesn't care. So I went to Vegas, and Vegas was pretty awesome. I can see why people want to live in Vegas, but it's completely artificial. It's like be like living on Mars or the moon or something. Like, it's got to be awesome, but you know that if that umbilical cord even gets a kink in it, you're dead. Like, you're gonna die. There's no water, there's no electricity. Boom, you're just gonna die because it's like 100 degrees always. What was this last one? That one was the Scout one. Then we get to the Dug Up Museum. This was the complete opposite experience of the stupid Cody Museum, which was the other disappointment. So I get there, and do I have a picture of their door? I guess not. So their door is over here in this building, and it's the entire upstairs, right? So you go, it's like, the stairs to go upstairs. There's a sign on there, closed for the season. And I'm like, what? So I called the number anyway and said, hey, I'm a big deal on the internet. You need to open up. And they're like, all right. So yeah, they opened the museum for me. They were closed for the season, right? Closed, done. They were not going to be open anymore, but they opened it up. So I thought that was cool to begin with. They didn't allow pictures, but I got to take pictures and ended up chatting with them. So while I was there was the what's his face being voted on by the Senate. So it was kind of neat. It was about, I think it was like they were farting around with their speeches before the vote. So I was like, hey, do you mind if I just stick around and watch the vote? Am I breaking up again?
No, you're fine.
It must have been me that time.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so I got to BS with the guy for basically a long time while we were watching the thing, and really cool dude. It's basically his collection. He started collecting when he was a kid, and it grew to the point where you can kind of get an idea. It's this whole upstairs of this building, and there's these display cases which are custom and kind of, whatever the size of these pieces of glass are, 2 foot by 3 foot or something, and just neat. It's all organized by era or whatever you want to call it, campaigns, and yeah, it's just super neat. And then I didn't even get it all. There's like World War II stuff in there even, and just regular old like stuff people found in rivers and lakes and things.
So pretty much everything that like people go out in the desert, they find an old rusted gun. That's that stuff right there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes out of a lake or something, but mostly dug out of the ground. Metal detectors, or he said a lot of it is like farming. Like somebody will plow up a garden or something, and boop, gun pops up. So all different kinds of states. There was a couple of them. They're like pristine. He really doesn't like pictures like this because I guess people have used some pictures for like memes and stuff, and it just bugs them. So it's not like, that big a deal. It's just that he doesn't allow pictures. So this is kind of cool to be able to get a picture of what the experience is like. But imagine just dozens and dozens and dozens of these displays, and each of them has a little blurb like this, something to explain either where it came from or the circumstances or what they think might be going on. I mean, just think about it. Like, this one is busted open. Like, it wasn't somebody just threw it down or lost it in a lake or something. Like, what was going on that this thing was like in the midst of being articulated or whatever, and then froze up. And then, like I say, they freeze up in different ways. Some of them look like they're like a die cast or something. Others, like, look at this guy, because it's brass, I guess. It looks like you could still use it.
Yeah, I've got a gun like that. where somebody found.
I just think
dug it
they're
up.
problem is they're usually not cheap. So his gig, he drives around during the winter when Cody is under snow, and that's when he gets to find more stuff and goes to shows and things. And he's just been acquiring these kind of guns for a long time, and the stories that go behind them. So it's just an awesome experience being able to talk to the owner of the collection for basically hours, and just about, again, talk about being an ambassador to firearms. Whatever 2.5 to 3 million people will go through the East Gate of Yellowstone each year, and that's what Cody is the East Gate of Yellowstone. So anybody who goes through there and is kind of bored or interested in doing something else, they drove all the way to Wyoming, they might want to look around and do something. One of their options is the Dug Up Gun Museum, and here's the deal: it's free. It's completely free. You walk in that door, you walk upstairs, you look at his whole collection and hang out and experience it. You can't take pictures, but that whole experience is free. And if you want, you drop a donation in. I just think that's the coolest way to run a museum, plus a gun museum. That's just awesome. So
yeah, I've heard about them. I've always wanted to go, but I've never gone to Wyoming yet. So
oh man, it's not a deal. I mean, it's not like casually like I'm going to drive whatever. It's literally in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and I mean, when the real museum, the big gun museum, is open, I imagine it's worth it 100%. But this place is cool. I mean, well, like I say, I really liked it.
Yeah.
All right, so Hosh just jumped in. We'll probably end it on this one. So I was getting sick of all the selfies that weekend, so I just decided to go through my phone and take every picture I could find where I parked the van in front of a gun shop, and I came up with these 36 of them. So that was my selfie weekend, and we just talked about a bunch of these shops, but there's whole ones in here that I haven't even put reviews up yet, and some of them I have video, and I'll still do a video just so that there's some audio version of documentation for each of these shops. And stay tuned for those in the coming probably weeks and months. Really, it's going to take a while to do all that. And again, thanks to the supporters over on Patreon who made it happen financially, or at least allowed it to happen, and then facilitated finding some of these shops that I could have drove right past if it wasn't for input. And that's what these interactive experiments are all about, is to utilize the back and forth aspect of our communication with this new media, with these social media platforms, and with the different communication methods we have now. It's an effort to bring that stuff up into real life and back and forth, so that people don't get apprehensive about using these tools. Anyway, Hosh, you just jumped in. How was the crash course tonight?
It was good. We the topic was, now you have your license, now what? You just got your license, you're a new ham, what do you do now? So we talked a little bit about that, different options, different things.
I was watching because I was in chats and then setting this up and stuff, but just watching, it's not like you were holding up that many visual aids or whatever, nothing. So my question is, was it like an open ask question type of thing, or was it like you had a PowerPoint or something that you were going through?
So this one was pretty much entirely PowerPoint. I didn't run off the radios at all, except for towards the end where I did apparently it's Jamboree on the Air for all the Boy Scouts. This weekend is Jamboree on the Air. So VHF, UHF, HF radios, the Boy Scouts are going to be all up in the airwaves. So if you're a ham radio operator, make sure if you hear a Boy Scout, respond to them, give them some positive kudos for being out there. But no, it was 100% slides, and it was more just the theory of, okay, you kind of know the stuff, what should you be doing? Like, go on the repeaters. How do you do that? Because a lot of the times I already have videos that cover the nitty gritty. So I just needed to do an overarching video. And then in the descriptions, I link to all the videos that cover that stuff.
More like a table of contents of all your existing.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was constantly referencing videos that were in the description of the video. So it should be fairly straightforward. But again, it was more of like a classroom theory setting than kind of a hangout like I normally do.
So going back to that, we're talking about the ham radio crash course, a project you've been doing for a while now, and encourage people to get their their amateur radio license, which is just a certification, I guess, from the from what, the FCC.
Yeah, it's an FCC license. Yeah, it's an FCC license.
And it just gives us like a tiny little radio shop or radio show license. So if there was an FFL, it would be like a CNR. Like we get to play around with radios and use the bands that aren't being used by official or people paid for, bands or something. So anyway, when we're talking, your show is about what to do once you've got your license, your certification. What are we talking? Like just general communication. So like if you were in a ranch or if you use something where you got to talk to somebody remotely, if you just literally wanted the ability to communicate without using a phone, there's that. There's experimentation, people that are just nerds and like to play with electronic devices, like certification to be able to do it. There's probably people in the industry who want the certification so that they can, build and, better mousetraps. Then you've got people that do it for emergency services. And then you got people that are like scanner people that like to listen to what's going on out there, and getting your ham gives you a little bit more reach or some more potential. So what am I missing? What other uses are there?
Well, I mean, you did a really good job. We'll have you come on as a guest and we'll just have you walk through your ideas. So the idea, the preface was, you're somebody that just got your license, your technician license, which gives you access to the VHF, UHF band space, which is, walkie-talkies and stuff like that. Well, what's the first thing people largely do? They'll program this radio to talk to local repeaters. And local repeaters are like mountaintop radios that will take in your signal, amplify it, and transmit it out in a much larger space. So that's one thing. You meet a lot of people doing that. There's also simplex, which is just like walkie-talkie talking back and forth. So how do you maximize your station to be able to talk like that? Kind of like you said with the rancher that's not close to anybody, doesn't have cell access, example, stuff like that. I mentioned joining a club is really good because joining a club gives you access to other radios that you might not ever see, right? HF radios, things that allow you to talk around the country, like the stuff I play around with for fun type of things. And really, it was just if you have very little, you just took the test, which a lot of people refer to having like your CCW license. It allows you to carry the radio, right? You know how to operate a little bit, but you don't really start building proficiency until experience and possibly future training happens. So that's kind of what I was saying, is laying down the foundation of, you got your CCW, now what do you do? Where do you go from there? Go shoot some more? Yeah, absolutely. Go take some training? Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of idea.
Well, that's a great analogy. I never really thought about it like that, but that is exactly what it is. It's the ability to have it without getting arrested, but it's by no means like some kind of proficiency in it. And
just Dead Horse is in the chat. It doesn't say NASA, Dead Horse. It does not say NASA at all. Can you see that?
It says WTF.
Yeah, there's no NASA on that. I thought he would like that. I wore that just for him. No, just kidding.
That's great.
All right. Well, we were talking about my Instagram there, just going through some of the shops and whatnot. But our original topic was CCW on a budget. Anybody want to throw something in on that?
Ruger LCP, go. Are you talking just handguns in general, or what do you mean?
Oh no, just CCW on a budget. So
yeah, a mouse gun with a pocket holster, and keep that pocket empty, and there you go. And of course, get your permit and spend the rest of the money you saved on training. Who's next? Go.
Used revolver.
Oh, good.
When you say something about a revolver,
used revolver,
you get hit on the head.
Are you Yankee?
I'm thinking cheap.
Oh, cheap.
Okay. Get a 357. That thing will get anything.
For when you get attacked by a water buffalo.
Might happen in California.
Could break out of some kind of hippie commune.
Well, I just spent a lot of time in the van, so I figure mob of people come up or something or whatever, arsonist comes running up at me. I want to be able to shoot through the van door. So 357 is comfortable.
What's the
Now, if you want to go anemic rounds, you can get like a Taurus Millennium G2. You have the used ones, and you get a used one, about 150 to $200. Maybe wound them a little bit with that 9mm.
you could buy a used Mosin Nagant and cut that thing down to an Obrez. That's pretty cheap. CCW.
No.
That's like a $300 gun now.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
a $300 gun.
Isn't that crazy? That's so crazy
Yeah.
that is just a high point. Go buy a high point. There you go.
And the prices of Mosins continue to skyrocket.
Yeah, I'm deep into Mosin futures. Yeah, I run a Cosmoline stripping company.
And then how many mags do you carry?
2. Oh, one in the gun and 1 extra.
Well, that's a mag then, because otherwise that's a gun plus a mag. Okay, so 1.
Sure, 1.
Right now, me personally, right now, or
Yeah.
I just started wearing my winter coat, so I carry 2 extra mags and an extra gun.
Because you can, or because you figure something about some other reason for winter?
Because I can. Coat has a nice little CCW pocket, and each pocket has the elastic straps in it where you can. I could carry probably 8 to 16 mags if I wanted to, but that gets a little heavy.
Well, okay, that brings up something. What's the difference between what you're talking about, a coat or a windbreaker that's got pockets in it that are holsters and mag carriers, and what's the difference between that and a purse? Because that's basically off person, off body. As soon as you take your coat off when you enter a building, you don't have any more wind, so you take that coat off, and you're basically leaving your gun at the coat check.
Yeah, I always wear my coat back.
No, see, this is dead air. I literally have crickets. I'll just leave the crickets around here. Can you hear them?
Yes, we can hear the crickets.
Yeah, it's like. Anyway, we'll move on. So that's
Did I
it.
cut out here?
We talked about a whole bunch of gun shops, so that'll count as our gun shop today, and we'll end it. It's basically been an hour. Did I start on time or did I start late? I started right on time, I think.
Yeah.
So that was the show back in Tucson, so should be able to get things all fancy again relatively soon. And thanks everybody for watching. You got anything to plug? Anybody got anything to plug?
Not at the moment.
Josh does the ham radio crash course, usually each Friday, both on channels and on YouTube, I guess, also.
Yeah, it's every Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
And then Night Strike, buildandguntube.org, an alternative platform. See, YouTube hates guns, therefore they hate you. YouTube hates guns, therefore you're welcome to post pro-gun stuff over on guntube.org.
Even kids using guns responsibly. Oh my.
Like Snob's recent pumpkin carving video where the kids carve pumpkins with 22s.
Or Dead Horse's Kid Builds a Gun series.
There you go. I met them kids. Do I carry extra rounds from my revolver? If so, do you carry speed loaders or strips? I like strips, and I definitely carry extra rounds. Always carry extra rounds. So one of the neat things about a revolver is the rounds. It's only 5 rounds. It's a 357 5-shot. So I can carry a couple of different types of projectiles just because I can. And they're very small. A 5 strip of 357s is not much bigger than a matchbook. It's heavier than a matchbook, but it's not real big. Are you saying something, Hosh? Or are you talking on the radio? Yeah, okay, he's doing something else. But yeah, I like to carry extra rounds. And then the revolvers with the speed strips is actually pretty handy for carrying lots of extra ammo.
Have you ever carried a revolver that requires moon clips?
No.
No? All right.
I mean, no. I would have, if I bought a Judge, I would use the moons. but I don't. I haven't. I'm trying to think. I probably have had them for like the 357 full size Smith & Wesson I bought off a Good Guy with a Gun one time.
Mhm.
But I had them. I don't know if I ever actually used them. And I wouldn't carry them because they're clunky. They're like carrying an old-fashioned speed loader. The strips are flat, so they're way more easy to carry. And I like them better because you can strip out 2 rounds and get back into action, where the speed loader requires you to have the whole cylinder empty, and just requires a lot more. 100%. It has to be 100% empty. It has to be able to insert 100%. They all have to go in. So, it just seems too less options than the speed strips.
All right.
All right. Well, that's the last couple of questions that came in, and I want to say thanks to Yankee for raising money for the tour. I didn't expect that. Didn't know he was doing that. Ghost texted me yesterday while that show was on. I think I was in somebody else's show, so I watched it earlier today, and it was pretty cool. He was just doing his weekly chatting with the audience type of show, and he put all the super chats towards the tour. So thanks everybody who threw money at Yankee for the tour. Appreciate it. I haven't done the last couple of tanks of gas, but last time I checked, I was about $200 over on my budget for gas money. So I was trying to shoot for $2,000 worth of gas, and I think it was at $2,200, and I probably have a couple of tanks of gas to add to that. So definitely appreciated. I think, well, I have to start catching up on the van chats, but I'm going to do something like guess how many tanks of gas I used, kind of thing, or how many gallons of gas. Maybe that would be cool. Because we'll have all those numbers, and that'll give Smeggy something to nerd out on the spreadsheet. All right. Well, with that, again, thanks everybody who shows up for the show. It'll start getting better here in a bit as soon as we have a chance to polish everything up and dust everything off. And we'll see you next time.
Sorry I was late. Thank you.
Hey, no worries. Thanks for jumping in.
Thanks for giving me a link.